Welcome to But I Digress, a cocktails and conversation podcast with your hosts, Warren Smith and me, Irish Stewart. Come on in, honey.
Yes, welcome to another podcast, another edition of But I Digress, with, of course, myself, Warren, and Irish, my great friend. And how are you doing? I was going to say today, tonight, I don't even know. I think it's actually morning for me now.
No, it isn't. It's not morning for you. We're
it
reversing
is now.
things.
No. It is technically now. I think we crossed midnight. So,
okay.
Yes.
You want to argue semantics with me? Let's not start that. Hello.
Hello. Of course, if you've never listened to the show before, it's basically two great friends who get together and chat about life, the universe, and everything while drinking a cocktail or three. And of course, we basically never stay on subject. Hence the name of the show. Pardon me. So you can tell I've been drinking orange and hiccup then. That was the espresso martini, I think. So.
Oh, well, we've reversed courses today.
We have,
usually,
haven't we?
You are day drinking.
Yes.
But today I am day drinking.
And as we said before, because of course I swear we actually spend more time before we record talking than we actually.
We waste so much good material. Except I love talking to you, and I do love that we have conversations that no one else knows about. So,
So yes, I raised my glass.
Yeah. So for me, for the first time, no, maybe the second time, but I'm not sure we actually posted the first one.
I have a feeling. I think we did it once, and I don't think it ever went to air. Yes.
Yes, because I think I said, please don't post that.
Something along
and you
those
said,
lines.
okay.
I don't even remember, but yes. So yes. So it's role reversal. So for me, it's all dark outside, and for you, it's light. So it's quite different, And yes, so I've been given permission. I can stay up late, so that's good. my parents, what is that old? Your parents would put you into your pajamas, and they. Oh, I'm old enough to remember this, where there was still only one TV in the house, and they would roll.
God, yeah.
And the TV was on wheels because it was black and white, and it was literally a piece of the furniture. Australia was a little bit.
We had color TVs, but yes.
Yeah. Australia was a little bit behind the rest of the world, remember? You know, I mean, you have to remember we're one of the shithole countries.
Stop it.
I know.
No,
so anyway,
now.
It was. Oh, not now. I know. So
especially.
Actually, it was funny when he actually made that comment. I think we actually had Malcolm Turnbull as Prime Minister, and he wasn't actually a bad guy. He was actually pretty good. So anyway, but he got wheeled. Anyway, so they'd wheeled the TV in. It was like you're allowed to have the TV in your room for the night. And you'd sit up and you could watch the Late Show. And I think we only had one TV network that ran 24 hours back then. This is like, and then they would play the Late Show, and then the Late Show, and then at about 3:30 in the morning, the Late Show. And oh my God, yeah, they have somebody who would introduce it all and stuff like that, and there were always these really bad live adverts they would do for, like, Del Monte suits. Come to Richmond and get fitted for your Del Monte suit. Oh, my goodness gracious. Anyway.
When I was a kid, even up through my senior year in high school, okay, so finishing up, what do you guys call that? Secondary school? What do you call
secondary
that?
school. Well, high school, yeah, but secondary school officially.
You call it high school, okay.
Yeah.
So up through my senior year in high school, I was not permitted to have a TV in my room. Everybody else I knew had one, but I was not allowed to have one. And we had one TV in the house. My parents also did not have a TV in their room. And we were only allowed to watch TV in the living room. So if you wanted to watch TV, you come out of your room and you sit there with the family and you watch whatever the hell is on. And yeah, I remember that very much.
Well, I
we
do
did like late night game shows and things, but at some point,
okay.
most of our channels turned off.
Yeah.
And they would turn off and they would play the national anthem and picture of a waving flag.
Oh,
yes,
really?
because patriotism and shit.
I remember that in that horror film, Poltergeist.
Oh.
That's how it starts because it comes through the TV.
No, listen, I laugh because instead of crying.
Oh, okay. Right, sorry. I remember going
discussed.
Yeah. No, go on.
No, I'm not gonna start because you know that I want to bitch right now.
Well, one thing we were talking, as we said before, we spend more time actually talking off air than we talk on air.
Really true.
But we were talking about actors and things like that. I know we've got a lot more important things to talk about.
Yes. Let's digress into something less important. Let's talk about actors.
Yeah,
they think they're very important.
Well, but I was going to give you my trilogy, my trio of who I think are the worst overpaid actors in human history. You're
like really hitting home for people. You're digging. Okay.
Okay. So anyway, this is this, and I stand by this, and I've always stood by this, and that is
okay.
Now, oh my God, I hope you don't hate me for this. Warren Beatty, Diane Keaton, and Jack Nicholson. They are my trio.
I would never hate you for anything, but also you're not wrong.
How those people are viewed as some of the Hollywood royalty of acting. They're multimillionaires, well, at least I'm assuming they are. In fact, is Warren Beatty even still alive?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right.
Warren.
Okay, sorry. And
you share his name.
Yeah,
know what's going on.
I haven't checked the obituaries lately. That's all. But it's sorry. No, I didn't mean it like that. Actually, so it came out the wrong way. But
I don't know why I feel attacked now.
But I don't know. They're terrible. Warren Beatty, the master of overacting. He overacts in everything. The man of the long... how long a pause do you need before you say your lines? Diane Keaton...
Some of us are just trying to remember what we were trying to say.
Well, maybe that's what it is. So, what's my line? Feed me my line. But
line.
And Jack Nicholson, I'm sorry. I remember the year that man wore sunglasses inside the theatre at the Oscars. I mean, for fuck, how narcissistically up yourself do you need to be?
He was high as fuck, okay? He was trying really hard.
Well, I see, that probably what it was. But once again, I'm sorry. But that's just my opinion. I think the three worst overpaid actors.
We discussed who I think is the most multidimensional actor on the planet. Okay. There are many one-dimensional actors, and I'm going to say that the people that you just mentioned are one-dimensional actors. Okay. They deliver lines as though it was them all the time, no matter what. It didn't stop them from being popular. But for me, the most multi-dimensional actor on the planet, the person, honestly, the actor that I think has probably the most talent that I have ever seen, is Gary Oldman. That man can play any character, and he is never the same character. He is not just him reading lines, okay? He is a man who is able to morph himself into other people from different times and different periods. It doesn't matter. I can tell you that there is not one single role that I have ever seen him in that compares to another one of his roles. You can't say these are the same. They're not. He literally can't play the same character. And I think it's amazing. And to be honest with you, if I was going to pick somebody that was the most underpaid actor in Hollywood, it would be Gary Oldman. Like, really, really, very much.
Well, there are some actors that I absolutely adore. I love them. I love Samuel Jackson. Absolutely adore him.
Oh, well,
I don't think he's a great actor.
One-dimensional. He's very one-dimensional.
I love watching
Nothing
him.
against him.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love watching him, but I don't think he's a... Michael Caine.
I did like him in the... Well, I did... Yeah, but he was also in the thing I'm going to mention. Okay, the first Kingsman movie. Kingsman?
Yes, he was, yes.
Okay. I saw him in that, and yes, he was Michael... You know, like, he was the same person, the same character, Michael Caine. But that was a movie that I really felt like had dimensions for other people.
I still believe the two Kingsman movies are some of the best fictional spy movies ever made. I mean, they're brilliant. They are so,
okay.
I mean, they're so
there's
good.
Three, right? You know, there's three.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. There's the prequel.
The King's Man.
The King's Man. Okay. Sorry, yes.
Which, I will be honest with you, was not what I was expecting. But let me just say that I am never a fan of sequels, okay? I find that every time a sequel comes out, the sequel is garbage compared to the original. Or even if they do a third movie and it's like a prequel, or even just a third movie, it's usually better than the sequel. I feel like sometimes people are pushing doing sequels very quickly, and they don't think the storyline out very well. They don't think the plot out very well. The story is shit. Because I'm going to tell you, I loved the first Kingsman, okay? Loved it. Fucking was crazy for it, okay? Because I really wanted something new. I wanted a new spy theory. And to be honest with you, the scene in the church with the shooting.
Oh, wow.
That was kind of, that to me, and you and I have talked about this, I have an aesthetic when I create my stuff. And sometimes my aesthetic is really brutal. And people don't love it. But The Boys proves me wrong here. I think people love a brutal aesthetic. But that scene in the church, which was kind of a mimicking of our Westboro Baptist crazy people here.
Yeah.
That scene to me was one of the best moments in film, in an action scene. They tried to recreate it in the second one. Okay? I'm going to tell you now. One, I think the story was super weak. Two, I think that they tried to fix things they felt they got wrong in the first one. Everybody really loved the character that got shot in the eye, you know, and they wanted him to come back, so they brought him back in a way that didn't really make sense. And I'm going to tell you everything, and I even hate to say her name right now. Okay. Susan Sarandon. Dear God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't her fault. Okay. Because she played the role fine. I don't think she's a bad actress. I think she's just a shitty person and kind of fucking ignorant, but I don't think she's a bad actress. But the sequences they had for her, all of her scenes were in places where it looked like they built some shit on a soundstage. It looked fake as hell. And I, as somebody who works in film and TV, and somebody who, whether or not has gotten all of my things done, I have a very strong problem with shitty settings. I don't understand why you guys couldn't do it. Let me tell you something. I know that it hasn't gotten done yet, and we haven't even finished the entire first, the pilot. But the stuff that we shot for one of my shows, and yes, I don't have the money out of pocket to spend to do it, to finish it. And my director, who I adore, is very busy doing things across the globe. And I don't want to demand that they take time to do something outside of that for what I have. I understand, because they were actually doing it as a favor. So,
yeah.
And so if I change directors and I change first ADs and I change cinematographers right now, my whole show will have a different look. I don't want that. So I'm going to use the stuff we have, but I really do appreciate that they were able to understand that we had a limited budget. And through those people, we were able to create something that I'll tell you right now that if you actually watch the footage once it's sweetened, which we have been working on, but it's not finished, I can tell you that you wouldn't know the difference between it and something that wasn't spent with $1 million on one set. I think it's possible to do it. I know that because I've had to guerrilla shoot a bunch of things. You know, I think just like when you hire sometimes a designer for your home, okay? If you don't know what to do with your house, you don't know how to design it, and you hire a designer, there's a lot of designers, especially on the TV series these days, which will buy you a $30,000 couch. Why the fuck do you need to spend $30,000 on a couch? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
It's the same thing on a set. Why do you have to spend $6,000 on this wall when we could do it in $300? I don't get that. Okay, so I'm not super rich or anything, but I was paying out of pocket for the pilot for my show, which is why we haven't finished it in combination with my director and, honestly, our cinematographer. They work for a major production thing, and it's hard to get them to fit in. So I don't like, though, when you see a show that you know they spent a shit ton of money on, and you can tell it's crap.
Well, I compare it to a. This might sound funny. I don't know. I'm hoping you see where I'm going with this, but I'm hoping it, and people listening do as well. I often forget people are listening.
They'll try, no matter what. It's I hope they do the same for me.
But it's a little bit. You think about two people go on a date, all right, and one of them, they're met with 100 roses by their doorstep, and then they're taken out where the entire restaurant has been emptied and it's just the two of them, and then suddenly when they leave, there's a I don't know, 100-piece orchestra playing them off as they walk. Okay, you can make a dream date if you can throw money at it. But
money is the solution
there's no,
to everything.
But there's no heart to it. Right?
No.
It's just right. No. There's no heart to it. But the person who takes someone for fish and chips on the beach, do you know what? There's more heart to that than
yes.
I still remember telling the story of I told you the story. I saw this very young girl. She must have been under 18, but she had a very young child, like a 1-year-old or something like that, with her.
Okay.
And she was in the supermarket, and she was buying stuff, and I could overhear the conversation she was having with the checkout person, and she was sort of saying, I met this guy, and he's I'm going to cook him dinner tonight, so it's really special and really important. And you know what she had? A chicken breast and a jar of cooking sauce. So it was just add the sauce to the chicken and put it in the oven. Now, here's the thing. I would have, if someone had told me the story, gone, oh, for fuck's sake, fucking redneck, bogan, right?
That's all she had.
But because I heard it, and because I looked at her and saw her and everything like that, she would have been living off a government allowance, right, like a single mother's pension. She was very young. I mean, look, she probably, honestly, she wouldn't be. She was probably 20 or something, but she looked very young. And there was obviously no one to support her, no one to help her. And she'd met someone she really liked. And, this $5 meal had more heart and soul in it than $1,000 sushi banquet. And I sort of thought, you know what? That means more. Like I was actually really moved from hearing this conversation, and I don't want to get all emotional. Even my voice is all going.
Oh no!
Right,
please get emotional. I love it when a man gets emotional.
But I can still remember hearing it, and it still moves me to this day. You know, it's like I don't know. I was just so moved by that. I thought it was so impressive. You know, anyone can throw money at us at something. But there's no heart to it. There's no, and it's like you're saying with creation of art.
Yes.
If we throw I don't know,
if
$200 million at a movie, it doesn't make it better.
No,
it doesn't make it better.
No,
anyway,
you're
I've
absolutely
ranted. I'm
right.
sorry.
No, please vent because you know that I'm...
I just need to take some time to myself. Sorry. Sorry.
You know that I'm trying really hard not to vent right now.
I know. Sorry.
I actually know somebody that was on government assistance, and they worked really hard every day to take care of their kids. And they had 3 kids, and they were a single parent. And they worked really hard. And I remember them telling me about them going to the grocery store when their youngest kid was turning 4. And they bought this tiny little cake, a little birthday cake for their 4-year-old. Okay, this kid was turning 4. It was literally, and they used Snap to pay for it, which is here... That's welfare benefits.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
It's welfare benefits, and it's a card that they get some allowance on. And she told me about buying a couple of things that she needed in the house, but buying and spending like $9, okay, on this tiny round birthday cake that was pre-made from the bakery. And the reason why they did it was because they worked 2 full-time jobs. Their 4-year-old was turning 4, or their 3-year-old was turning 4. And they wanted to give them a birthday cake. They wanted to have a celebration, but they spent $9 on their Snap card. And while they were going through the checkout line, the person behind them thought it was a real fucking problem that they were spending their money, taxpayer money, because they had Snap benefits, and it did pay for the cake, that they had taken that out of their Snap benefits to buy a birthday cake for their kid, and they literally had a screaming match with them. This person didn't, but the other person, yes, the person in line behind them saw what they were buying, and it was a couple of nicer things for a dinner. It wasn't like major stuff. It was cheap things, but it was better for them. And this tiny round birthday cake, it was like $9 from the bakery. And this person behind them really thought that they had a right to say shit about it. And not only did they say something, but they started like screaming at them in the grocery store about how they were taking something from them. They were like this, and I'm going to say to you now, and they call them a Karen here, and I'm sorry for all the women named Karen, but it was a white middle-aged woman who thought that she had some shit to say. No, it's not always.
No.
Sorry. Guy.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. I meant white is what I meant. I didn't mean white.
I know.
Woman.
I
meant
wasn't.
white.
I wasn't chastising
white
you.
is what I meant. White is what
is
I meant.
the problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
White. Yeah.
A lack of melanin seems to also like sometimes compare with a lack of decency or empathy. And I just felt so bad for them. You know, they had gone through this because they just wanted to give not only their kid that was turning 4, their youngest, a cake and celebrate in some way, but they couldn't they didn't have enough time to actually bake something that might have been cheaper, but they also wanted to give it to their other two children,
Well, maybe
the older
didn't. Maybe they didn't know how to.
Care.
It's like it doesn't. It's nobody else's business. It's like there is this attitude sometimes that it's like if someone is on benefits. And when I say benefits, there's so many different... I know what it's like in America, but there's so many different types of benefits in Australia. There's unemployment benefit, there's single-parent benefit, there's disabled benefit.
They try to take everything.
There's so many different types, right?
You have a single-parent benefit?
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, if you're a single parent, you actually... because you can't work because you've got children, because... Well, you can't work, right?
Daycare.
So, okay, so it's impossible. Like, we're not talking about we're not talking about somebody with a medical degree who can work, and we're talking about someone with zero educational background, and you know what? We're talking about the poor, right? Let's just be honest. And they've got two children. The husband, you know what I mean? The man has fucking disappeared or doesn't give any help or support. They're by themselves. They've got two young children. Absolutely, the government pays them a pension so they can eat and pay rent and all the rest of it.
We call it WIC. It's women, something in children.
They call it WIC.
But yeah, it's like so it's not technically for single people, but I think it might be.
Oh, okay.
Like
it's a single parent allowance. A man can get it. Because it's not very common, but there are some situations where women in a relationship actually disappear and the man is left with the children. It's not very common.
What? It happens.
But it does happen sometimes. It's not very common. It happens
more often than people think. And I do feel shitty that like people don't realize that there's a lot of men out there doing the work of moms too.
Oh, of course
they're doing the work of dads and of moms. And there are a lot of moms, and it's probably not as prevalent. Let's be honest.
No, it's not. But it's there.
There are here women that do disappear. I've known of several. And at least one of them ended up, she had kids. She had two of them, different parents. Luckily, they ended up with the father of one of them because she ended up dying of a drug overdose. I'm just saying in our country, we have people that need help that we're not helping because we have some sort of, and this is what we're going to get to because you know that I'm stressed out.
Yeah, I know. We're getting it. I know.
This is these baby steps into criminalizing women who don't think that they should be pregnant, whether they get pregnant or not. I'm going to be honest with you, and you and I have talked about this before, and I've mentioned it on Twitter many times, that I have been raped. I'm a rape survivor. I didn't think I was pregnant. I was told that I had a miscarriage after the fact by a doctor who took a blood test, and they said that I was not pregnant. Then I was. And for me, personally, at the time when I found out, it was too late to have an abortion. But dear God, if I could have had one, I would have fucking had one. Instead, I gave birth to his baby, and I gave it up for adoption. An open adoption, which later I found out that the parents had not even told him anything about me. And he's about to turn 31. And I think I might be a grandmother, and I don't want to talk about that.
Well, no, seriously. We just, there were limits. No, you don't have to. I mean, just because we're talking about a subject doesn't mean you have to
talk about it because it makes me feel old. That's literally why.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Don't worry.
Yeah, please don't think it's because.
Don't worry, I get that. I'm a granddad. I am actually a granddad.
You are. Your granddaughter. Gorgeous.
Gorgeous. I've got two of them actually. But
I said granddaughters.
Yeah.
Your granddaughters are gorgeous.
Well, I saw my youngest granddaughter. Oh, I'm digressing. I shouldn't. This is a very serious topic.
No.
But
I digress.
The other weekend, I was round at their house on the weekend, and my youngest. What am I saying? My daughter's youngest is and I realized
you just have the one daughter, right?
Yes, and
Yes,
anyway,
okay.
and so she's 3 and
Your
a half.
only children,
and I'm
yes.
not going to mention their names on there because I'm just not going to do that.
Don't do that.
But the youngest, who's now 3 and a half, she.
They're so cute.
But the thing is, she's at that age now where she's turned from. Look, they're my grandkids. I'm allowed to say this. They've turned from the baby blobs, and they're now getting human structure. Like,
isn't that crazy?
Do you know what I mean?
Moving and having a personality.
Yeah, because they're now starting to. It's like I said, their heads move from being a round basketball into a football, into a rugby ball. Like they start to get shape and everything like that.
And they start thinking.
And their personalities start to come out and all
yes.
the rest of it. And
yes.
like the one thing she was doing, she was my daughter was sort of saying, "Oh, look, your cupcake," because we're having coffee and stuff like that. And she goes, "Oh, your cupcake is on the bench," and she goes, "Where is it? Where is it?" And she's looking, and you knew that she knew where it was. And she's going, "Where is it?" She starts looking at the ceiling. And my daughter sort of goes, "Oh, for God's sake, I don't have the time for this, right? It's on the bench, right?" And she's going, "Where? What's a bench?" Like, it's like,
yes.
And it was just, and you could see, that defiance starting to come. Like, I'm just playing, I'm playing you. And it was, but the interesting thing is that of my 2 granddaughters, one is very tall and blonde, and the other one is going to be very short and brunette. And so it's or like black hair, raven hair. And so they're going to be so different. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But they're going to be sisters,
yes.
which is, no, sisters. No, I'm not going down that track. They're because, no, there's 2 fathers, right? So the first first marriage didn't work, so there's a new marriage. So one was from the first marriage, the other's from the second marriage. So
okay, well then that's why they're just genetically slightly different. It doesn't matter.
And honestly, that's a bit of
they're sisters.
That's a bit of an on-shock thing on air, because I don't think I've ever actually told you that. I think because the thing is, I don't think about it. Like in my head, I don't actually think about it. I just go,
why would
my
you?
Granddaughters. In fact,
thank you for sharing that.
Well,
thank
there is.
you.
Oh well, actually, I should have actually told you that. Just normally, I just don't think I ever thought about telling you. Did you know what I mean? It's like
I think that it's great that you didn't think to tell me that. Like you thought it was a thing that mattered.
Well, I just thought it was like they're just.
It doesn't.
No. But the problem is, I don't want to take this story any further on air because
I'm gonna tell you,
it starts to. Do you know what I mean? Because there are other people involved, and I just don't want to. Anyway, yeah. So
I understand that. Don't be sorry. I want to tell you that I have also a half sister. I didn't meet her until she was 16, even though I knew in my 20s she existed. I didn't have a way to find out anything about them or her, because to be honest with you, my dad, we've talked about this, he was a mess. So she didn't get to meet him until after I found her. I only knew her name, her first name, because I knew she was named after her grandmother. And I knew her first name. I knew she was a girl, and I knew her mother had taken her back to where she grew up, because my dad said, "I don't want to do that." And let's be honest, my dad, when he had me, also didn't want to do that. My parents were very young when they got pregnant with me. My dad was the youngest child of 4. He had a sister who was the oldest, and he was the youngest of the 3 boys after. But he was the youngest of everybody. So he was very, very spoiled. And he had a lot of talent in creating music. He could pick up any instrument and within 5 minutes play it. It was the weirdest shit. He was also a songwriter. He worked his entire life. Once he left the Army, because, let's be honest, he joined the Army because my mother got pregnant.
Right.
He was forced to marry her in high school, which was illegal at the time. So later, after my parents had been divorced, which they stayed married until I was about 18. No, that's not true. 17. I think 17. I knew a long time my mom wanted to get divorced, but they didn't. But when it happened, my dad was shocked, which was funny to me. And Dad was a great guy. He really was. But he had a lot of problems. And I think I get my penchant for wanting to have mind-altering substances, probably. But he later ended up having a relationship with a woman in Nashville, and she got pregnant, and she wanted to get married, and he freaked out and said no. And to be honest with you, and I've said that phrase many times, that's going to be my new catchphrase. My son that I gave up for adoption, for open adoption, is a year older than my actual half-sister, which I think was really interesting. So, but
I know a lot of families in that situation. It's not actually unusual, but I hear. I hear. Don't worry, I hear you. But it's weird.
But let me be honest. I literally cannot thank him enough for his complete breakdown and his inability to be a parent, because my sister, Ellie, and I are super close now. We're super close. It took a long time, okay, because I was raised as an only child, except for my cousin, who was raised as my sister. She lived with us for a long time, and that's where I get my niece, Mackenzie, even though she's not technically my niece. She's actually technically my first cousin once removed, I think. That's that whole genealogy thing. We won't get into that. I'm super excited and happy to have my sister. So whether or not somebody is born as a half sibling, I don't think it matters. What I think matters is that you have a connection with them on some kind of deep level. And I'm sure that your granddaughters will have that.
Of course they do. They view each other as sisters. They have this idea of step or half or whatever.
It's not even a thing.
No, it doesn't even exist. It's no. And I could tell you some other stuff, but I'll tell you off air. I won't do it on there. Okay. What was I going to say? There's a great line in, which is not a good film, but it's a Jackie Chan film, and apart from, he only ever made one good film, I'll be honest, in my opinion, but I love Jackie Chan, although don't tell anyone who's from Hong Kong, because they hate his guts.
Well, let them hate him, because we love him here.
Yeah,
okay?
but that's because of politics. It's not because of
of course.
But look, he's made a political choice about which country he's going to be a part of. Well, okay, that's up to him. But I still I fucking love him. His movies are great. Are they terribly badly acted? Yes, they are. Are the stories appalling? Of course they are. But I've seen some people talk about, the fight scenes, the martial arts scenes, talking about the fact that Hong Kong cinema we're not talking about Bruce Lee here. We're talking about the Jackie Chan and, oh my God, I've forgotten the name. Another man who was incredibly influential, probably more influential actually than Jackie Chan, but I can't remember his name now.
John Wayne.
No, not John Wayne. But talking about the fact that the difference with Hong Kong cinema changed the way fights were done. Fights became a form of ballet, which had never been before.
Oh. Yeah.
You can literally watch a movie from, let's say, the 1980s, the 1990s, and the early thousands from Hong Kong, and you can literally just choose your favourite song and put it over the top, and it's a music video. It's like ballet. It's quite astounding. I don't even know how I've got onto this.
No, we were talking
where
about
the fuck was.
It's fine. That's the point of this show,
Yeah, I know.
Warren.
We digress. I know. Sorry. But Jackie Chan, I still remember he made this film in America where he's meant to be a spy, well, he's done a few of them, but he's also meant to be. He's meant to be in a relationship with a woman that has 3 children. And he's going to marry her, but she doesn't know he's a spy. And then in the end, anyway. So, but it's typically Jackie Chan, but he makes a statement when they're on the run, and he's got the 3 kids, and they're on the run because the bad Russians are the Russians are actually bad at that point. We've now gone full circle, apart from the time where Russians were good. So he's on the run. The Russians are chasing him, and he's got the 3 kids with him and stuff like that. And they're talking about the fact that how they're a mixed family. It's a little bit like, like the youngest son is saying, "I never met my father," and the only child in the family. Like, it's the eldest daughter remembers the father. The others kind of don't. They're too young, and it's not that he died. It's just that it wasn't very good. And then Jackie Chan's come on, and it's a little bit like, are we going to accept him? In the father sort of role and all the rest of it. And he makes, and I'm so digressing, and he makes the comment in the film, and he says, "I was brought up in an orphanage in Hong Kong." Right. And he says, family isn't about blood. He said, no. Family is about emotion. I'm paraphrasing, but
but that's true.
We create our own families. It's not about blood. It's about
where
I'm
your
going.
People. Okay,
Sorry,
find your people.
I've been digressing too much. Sorry.
No, you're not. No, and honestly, Jackie Chan, a lot of his movies, and to be honest with you, like Jackie Chan Adventures, which was an animated thing here in the 90s, I fucking loved that. Maybe it was in the early 2000s, I can't remember, but I think it might have been. It might have been like in 2000 to I think it was like 5 seasons or something. It was an animated series. Okay. Jackie Chan here is loved.
Oh, he's loved here too. He's loved here too.
Yeah, well, in movies...
He's loved all over the world, except for... the only place that hates him is Hong Kong. The rest of the world loves him.
Yes, and I think that sometimes you just have to go with that. Maybe everybody where you're from hates you, but just go with the fact that you've created something that other people love. I'll be honest with you. Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Nights were not great movies.
I'm not with the exception of the one set in New York... I'm not a big fan of his American movies, to be truthful.
Well, I'm not a massive fan of them, but I'll be honest with you. Shanghai Noon, if it comes on, if I see that it's on as I'm scrolling through the guide on TV, I probably will turn it on. Only because there are moments from that film, and I don't know how many other people are out there like this, but I don't care how bad the movie is or how bad the TV show is. If there is a line or something that struck you, you incorporate that somehow into your vernacular throughout your life. And I'll be honest with you, Shanghai Noon, and I don't want to spoil things for people, okay? But Owen Wilson was in that, okay?
Yeah, I think it was also made in 1998. I think they've probably seen it by now, but...
It was 2000, and if they haven't,
okay,
yes.
All right, yeah.
And I know that because I actually just looked it up to see, because I was trying to... Okay, so there is a moment in that film where Owen Wilson's character is being shot by a bunch of guns, America, and he's got his hands up, and he gets shot all around him, but he doesn't get shot, okay? Movie. But he does this thing where he puts his hands up in this victory pose and says, Roy, which is his character name. And he just says, invincible. Okay? Let me tell you something. We saw that movie, and everybody in my family literally uses that. If something happens and it shouldn't have happened and you got like through it, or it was a moment for you, like you had a win, okay? Any win. Everybody in my family now who has seen that movie will put their arms up in a V and yell, Roy, invincible. So even the most terrible movies, even things that people don't think are great, will somehow find their way into a family's vernacular.
Well, have you seen?
And I love it. I fucking love that.
Have you seen of the Jackie Chan Hong Kong films? There's the Armor of God. It's a bit like Police Story, where there were multiple movies made. Police Story ones are great. They're absolutely fantastic. Michelle Yeoh is actually in Police Story 3.
God,
that's
I love
and that's really, really good. Which
love
there's still
so much.
there's a great line at the very end where she's meant to be a Chinese police officer and he's a Hong Kong police officer, and it's filmed before 1997, which was handover. And but it was like filmed in like 1995 or something. It was very close. And in the end, Jackie Chan actually gets the money that they're chasing after from the bad guys, and she goes, and Michelle Yeoh says, but I need to return this back to the People's Republic, who want the money. And he said, what are you worried about? We'll hang on to it for 2 years and then you'll get it anyway. And I thought, oh, well, okay. That's an interesting statement. Okay. But the, what was I going to say? Armor of God was on once. Now, Armor of God 2, which has nothing to do with the whole concept of they were kind of a bit like Indiana Jones, Armor of God. They were meant to be like Indiana Jones. Now the second one, it's a sequel in name only. It has nothing to do with the first one whatsoever. But in the very end, like he gets it and he's trapped and whatever, and he has to escape, and so he jumps off a cliff onto the top of a hot air balloon and lands on top of the hot air balloon, right? Now, it's an amazing stunt within itself. And, of course, supposedly in the basket are the rest of the cast going, oh, Jackie, you escaped from the evil masterminds. But it has nothing to do with the film. We have no idea where the balloon came from, how the rest of the cast got into the fucking balloon, and we also don't even know how the hell he got onto the cliff to jump off. It doesn't matter. It's just a stunt. And it brings up that line, which is now used for a Jackie Chan film, which is basically don't let the story get in the way of a good stunt. Right?
I think probably that's the mistake that a lot of films and TV shows make. I think they're thinking, they get these ideas for these big moments and they build a script around it, which never holds up. We've talked about that. I don't care if it's a superhero film or an alien invasion film, something that should be action-based. I don't care if it should be action-based. The story has to come from the characters. They are characters experiencing the action-based thing. That's the problem. That's what we've talked about with the difference between Marvel and DC. Marvel has still not learned that. I'm sorry. That's absolutely backwards. I've had too much wine. DC has absolutely not.
I know what you mean. Okay? I know what you mean. Yeah.
Marvel has learned to build characters built on themselves. They have built stories around things that are built around the characters. So the character just happens to be a person with superpowers. Okay? And they are experiencing this thing. The difference is that DC goes, this thing is happening and there are people there that are experiencing it. That's literally the difference. That's why Marvel is successful and DC sucks. So, don't get me wrong, it's not that I haven't loved certain DC things. Okay, I have. Honestly, Gotham show, the Gotham series was great.
Yeah.
Loved it. Okay. Robin Lord Taylor, the guy who played the Penguin, fucking stole every scene he was in. Yeah. Amazing. Love that shit. Wonder Woman, the first one. Great. Except for the fact that she had sex with Steve, which I thought was stupid, but...
Well, it's also, what is this thing called sex? For fuck's sake. Obviously, you have a mother who had a mother who had a mother. What do you mean, what is this thing you call sex?
Oh,
I mean,
no.
You know what I mean?
No. Warren, I'm going to have to step in here and defend the DC universe.
Yeah.
No. Wonder Woman herself was created out of clay by her mother and was given life by a god. So, no.
Oh,
okay. She didn't have a mother.
What? Sorry, have I missed something here?
Obviously, yes, apparently.
I have. Well, I seriously have. I thought that she was just meant to be... I'm talking about the movie now. I'm not talking about the concept of
So am I. No, I'm talking about the character
really?
and the movie.
Oh.
Yes.
I missed all of that. I didn't know that.
She was created by clay, by her mother.
Right.
And her mother prayed so hard for her. She was the queen of the Amazons, okay?
Yeah,
her mother prayed so hard for her that a god put life into this clay thing. So she's Pygmalion, basically. Okay.
Oh my God! Do you know I didn't realize that. I feel like an idiot. I had no idea. Well, I didn't know that.
She was actually created by the gods in answer to her mother's prayers. Who was the queen of the Amazons?
I had no idea. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said what I said. I didn't know that.
You're sorry that you didn't know the backstory from some DC character.
I really didn't. I've always liked the idea of Wonder Woman a bit like I've loved the idea of Sheena because they're powerful women, and I've just loved the idea of powerful women because every super
women are a fucking force.
Well, it's just every superhero is a man, and I've always it's probably. Yeah, well, I don't want to go down the Sheena thing because although Sheena has now got woke, so don't worry, it's all okay. It's now all PC, so there's no worries there. The way it's all changed, people don't understand. It's now set in Central America, and she's half indigenous. It's very different. It's all changed.
You and I have talked about the fact that there is talk about another series.
But the modern Sheena is like it's like Casino Royale with Daniel Craig, right?
Yes,
right.
Which was fucking amazing.
Okay, it is. Many people say it is the ultimate Bond film. There is no Bond film as good.
Thank you.
Now, however, I don't actually agree with that. But I will say,
you know how I feel about Daniel Craig, and you need to stop.
I know. But what I'm saying is that they had the original James Bond, and then it stops. Pierce Brosnan is the end, and then we reboot and we start it from scratch again. And that's what happened in the early thousands. Sheena reboot, well, not the early thousands, 2000 and I don't know exactly what year it was, 2007, whatever year it was. It reboot, and we're talking the comic books now because that's where Sheena actually spends 99% of the story's time. It rebooted, and it rebooted with Sheena is she is the daughter of a white, now it's meant to be a white American woman and an indigenous man, and so she's very much part of the environment. She's not a white woman in Black Africa anymore. That's not what Sheena is. Sheena is now, if you were going to cast Sheena today, you're looking for oh God, I hope I'm saying this right, a Latina sort of actress. Am I wrong here, or am I you're looking for more of You're looking for a blonde. No, she's too
We're
old for
looking
the
for
role.
a person of color. That's what we're looking for.
You're looking for a blonde Selma Hayek, is what I'm trying to say, right?
Oh,
You're looking.
yeah. Well,
Okay,
blonde is not the end all.
Okay, no. Yeah, but Sheena has to be blonde. It's just part of the character. Okay. But all I'm saying is that, but you're looking for a Latina actor, is what I'm trying to say. You're not looking for a white woman anymore. That's not who, like Tanya Roberts could not play the role anymore. It's not. Well, and
honestly, look, I get the storyline they had before, but again, it's the great white savior. It's the great white savior issue. Okay, that's what we've been having.
I know, but that's from the 19. But you have to remember, it's from the 1930s when that wasn't viewed as being bad. Also, it was seen as being very progressive because she was an environmentalist, and so. But by the time we get to the thousands, it's like, you can't do that shit anymore. No, you can't do that. And so Sheena evolves. So Sheena, like the Paris, like the Paris Dakar rally, it moves to South America. And the whole story reboots. So basically, everything that was Sheena pre the early thousands, that's a different story. That's old Sheena. That's great. Yeah. Archive it, great. Don't want to ban it, but archive it. But we're not going to move on it anymore. It's archived. We have new Sheena. New Sheena is part of what South America truly is. She's part indigenous. She's part white. That is actually what South America is. Do you know what I mean? It is a mixture of indigenous. So, it is. Right, and so it's modernized. It's and yeah. Anyway, sorry, I am so digressing because we've got
you need to actually stop apologizing to me because I feel like people say women apologize too much.
No, because
you apologize a lot.
Because I know we've got very important things to talk about, and I'm talking about Sheena.
Warren.
And I really shouldn't.
Oh no, you know I love Sheena. Okay, you know that I have a connection.
I know.
So
I know, of course you do.
Please don't feel like I don't want you to talk about Sheena. I do.
Yeah. But what I meant was with whether it be Sheena or whether it be Wonder Woman, I have a love of this idea because these strong, powerful women, there are so few of them. I mean, if you think about how many superheroes or super spies or what James Bond, Simon Templars, what I mean is there are so few women in these. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And so I think
why I create strong female characters.
Yeah.
I understand, first of all, let's be honest, and again, I'm using that phrase. Men like strong women, even if they don't like to admit it. They like the idea of them. Okay? The idea of a strong woman is great for pretty much all men. In actuality, in practice, it's not as much. But the reason I create strong female characters is because, one, I understand that most men like the idea of that. But two, that women need to see themselves on screen. And women are strong as fuck. Whether or not people realize that or not. Even if it's a fantasy situation. Okay? Even if it is. I want to create characters that girls and women aspire to be or do. Those are the two things. Because to be honest with you, God damn, I wish I could stop saying that. What is wrong with me today? No, it's a lot.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just to say, Star Trek Discovery.
I love. Love.
Okay, but my biggest problem that I had with the character of Michael Burnham.
What?
Okay. No.
She wasn't created to be female.
No. I love the fact that she is female. Absolutely adore it. Although I have to admit, I fell in love with Saru.
I love Saru so much.
I don't know, and please tell me if I'm being sexist here, because if I am, I need to nip it in the bud. I need to nip it in the bud. What I didn't like is that she would put her crew at risk because of an emotional attachment to a man. And I didn't like that because I thought, aren't we playing to this idea that women are too emotional and so they shouldn't have command? And I thought, or am I totally wrong in all of this?
No, I mean, yes, you're right in the sense that I do think that it plays into that.
Right.
Here's what I think about it. That's a thing, okay? It's not wrong that, and I'm not going to say just women, okay? I think people put others that they care about sometimes before the benefit and well-being of the masses, okay? I think that's literally the problem with our conservatives here in the U.S. If they haven't experienced it, or someone they love within their circle hasn't experienced it, they don't care about it, okay? I think, while, yes, they touched on something that is a trope, it's a trope because it's a thing. Women, I'll be honest with you, we do. We have emotional connections to things and people. We do make decisions based on that. That doesn't mean that we don't deserve to be in command.
Oh, no, but...
It doesn't... No, I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm just saying within the trope, yes, I understand what people are going to say.
Because what my problem with it was is that here you have of all the Star Trek commanders long term. I'm not talking about a bit part in a movie, or something like that. I'm talking, where this ship happens to be commanded by a woman. Great. That's a 45-minute episode. I'm talking about long-term command. We've only had 2 so far.
Yeah.
Please correct me if I'm wrong. We've only had 2. Okay.
Yes.
And so the thing that I had the problem with was, why go down that path? Like, you've never done it with a man, so why have you chosen to do it when it's the woman? Like, it's almost like, do you get where I'm going with this?
No, I absolutely get it.
I just feel it's like, I'll tell you what, if you really wanted to run that story arc, do it with a man first, rather than...
Well, let me just...
Or am I being wrong
input here?
Sorry. Yeah.
I'm gonna push back, and I'm gonna make you stop talking.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm gonna make you do that because I have to push back on this. I don't know that men, honestly, always use that, or I'm not saying all men, but I don't know that the majority of men always use that parameter as something to make decisions about. I think I have some ideas about the evolution of men and women, and the reasons why we think the way we are and do.
Can I just interrupt very quickly, if it's all right?
Absolutely. There
was a TV show in Australia that ran for about 5 or 6 seasons called Sea Patrol, and it was based around a patrol.
Sequest?
No, not like Sequest. It was like it was based on a patrol boat, like a 30-person warship in the Australian Navy, and which patrol the northern waters not against the Chinese or anything, because these are patrol boats. They're only 100 meters long. Defending against illegal fishing, people smuggling, that sort of thing, right? Bit like your Coast Guard, just that in Australia that job is done by the Navy, all right? Now, in the very first season of that show, all right, each season had about 12 episodes. In the very first one, the commander of the boat, the ship, sorry, Navy people, the ship, he puts his vessel and his crew at risk because he's fallen in love with a woman who lives on one of the islands between Australia and Indonesia. He literally puts the vessel and the crew at risk. So it's been done before. What I'm saying is that men have made bad decisions. At risk.
Let's not
no. But what I mean is they make emotional decisions that they shouldn't, based on where they are in society. What I'm saying is with Star Trek is that if you're going to play that role, and I get it, I understand, it's that idea about my career versus my family. I get it all.
The ones you love, yes.
But why did Star Trek's very first attempt at dealing with that have to be a fucking woman? Do you know what I mean?
Because I'm going to tell you, I think it's because they knew that was the way to infiltrate society in their minds. Because they believe it from a woman, okay? A woman can still be strong and have those feelings, but in our society, let's be honest, a man having feelings makes them weak. That's what's gross, okay? Personally, and you know this, I love a man who actually has feelings. I love a man who has deeper thoughts than tree, oh God, those are some big titties. Okay. And I say that because that was Whitney Cummings' comedy routine. And she wasn't wrong. My own kid has told me repeatedly that he doesn't have any thoughts in his head when he's sitting there watching something. He's not thinking anything. And as a female, I don't understand the concept of not having actual constant thoughts flooding your head.
Yeah, but he probably does. He just doesn't
Warren,
realize it.
This is not an isolated incident. This is not just him. I have been told this by more than one person with a penis, okay? That when you ask them, when a woman, and it's a funny thing, like there's a joke about women asking men what they're thinking and they say nothing. Literally, they're thinking nothing, apparently.
But if you were to ask me, what are you thinking right now?
Because you're listening to me, you're thinking about something.
Okay, well, it's a little bit different because we're having a conversation, all right? So
yes.
But let's just say, what were you thinking about 2 hours ago or 3 hours ago?
You would find a subject to tell me about.
Well, not just a subject. My mind would have been...
something went through your head.
But my mind is always racing. It never stays still. Never stays still. It's always a...
Maybe you're an XXY. I don't know.
Well, there's always... I have this terrible habit, which people have told me means I'm insane or something, and I should be put into a rubber truck and driven off to an asylum. But which is that if I'm by myself and there is nobody around who can see...
Yes.
In fact, I do this in the car all the time. I have a conversation with myself where I will ask... Now, and once again, I'm admitting to something now where people are they're gonna send the Looney Tunes van around, right? But I will have a conversation. Like, I will sort of say, I think this, and I literally will have an open conversation with my own subconscious.
Right. Okay.
So there you go. Even you think I'm nuts. Let me
ask you something.
But you know what I mean?
No,
it's like,
finish.
because I know everyone thinks I'm nuts for doing it, but I literally have a conversation. Like, I talk to myself, you know?
I'm not saying that men don't do that with themselves. I'm saying that in general, my experience has been that men, and there's a reason why I think this. And so, okay, men focus on certain things. But if you're alone and your mind might go to something, but if you're in a room with another person and say just you're watching TV and the other person goes, "What are you thinking about right now?" There is literally nothing. Okay? The response is there's nothing. I'm not thinking about anything, which I don't understand. But the reason why I think that has happened is because, one, I'm a science girl, and I believe in evolution. I believe that our species, male and female, as humans, have developed differently. For some reason, way back in the day, as we were doing our things, the men evolved to go do the hunting, and that might be because they were physically bigger. I don't know. Having to do the hunting resulted in them needing to be very narrowly focused. They needed to kind of wash out everything around them and focus on the prey that they were trying to get. Okay, so they would do that. And they did that. And then they would bring it home to the camp or the village and drag it back and drop it in the middle of the square or wherever. And the women were left to do everything else. And I really feel like, because if you look through history, you look at different things that talked about the way things were handled in the past, women not only ran the villages, but took the food and prepped the food and cooked the food and tanned the hides and cared for the children and did all of these other things. I really feel like women, females, we've kind of evolved to pay attention to more than one thing at a time. Okay? The day I had my kid, that day, I used to sleep like a truck could roll through my house. I would sleep 10 hours a night, no problem. As soon as my kid was born, 4 hours a night, any little noise wakes me up. You know why? Because I think that we evolved to do that. Men, not as much. Some men do wake up when their kid cries or something, but it doesn't necessarily wholly change who they are as a human being. I do think women have the ability and the capacity for abstract reasoning and thought, where a lot of men choose, and I'm not saying they don't have the capacity for it, they have chosen and have been raised not to draw upon that. That they've been told there's a one focus, and they believe it. I really don't know what the difference could be otherwise. All I know is that when I go to bed at night, if I go to bed and I say to people, I'm going to go to bed, it takes me like an hour to go through and get ready to go to bed, because I have a lot of things that I have to do to make sure everything is in place before I go to bed. Men in my family have not ever been that way. They're going to bed. They're just going to bed. They're going to bed. Everything else.
No.
I feel like
I hear what you're saying.
It's an evolutionarily different. That was bad.
Evolution.
Evolutionary difference. Yes.
I hear what you're saying. It's I mean, one of the things is that about 2000 BC, so about 4,000 years ago, we have very little understanding of how humans, and then going back into other species, Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalis, and all the other ones who are human, but they're just not us, but they're still human.
Denisovian.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have no idea, it's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I mean, but in the I really don't know.
I know you don't, and I love that it's late and you've been drinking.
That's all right. That's it. The worm has turned. The tables have been turned. I love
it so much.
Oh dear.
I'm supposed to go do things today. I don't want to.
Are you?
Do you know that I don't want to?
Just don't. Just don't. Just have a day off. Just say, fuck it, have a day off. You're allowed to. You are allowed to just say, fuck it, I'll have a day off.
I am to me. How do I explain that to others in my household that are telling me, You have to go do things, and we have to do this thing.
Well, it depends.
You have to do it right now.
Well, it depends who is telling you. I would actually just say, fuck it, I'm having the day off. If there's something you need collected, just get home delivery, all right? If the bar needs stocking, get home delivery. If you need food, order it. Get home delivery. Like, just fuck it, I'm having the day off. Right?
I love the idea of that so much. That's why my characters are the way they are, Warren. I just my female characters. I just want to give a middle finger up, not a thumbs up. It's not. It's not a thumbs up.
Yeah, I was about to say it's
middle
not.
finger up.
Yeah,
to society.
That's interesting.
To be honest with you, and it's late. Like, it's early for me, and I am drunk. What is wrong? This is bad.
Well, actually, because I'm actually wearing my Casio World Time watch, which is a whole. No, it's a whole $19 of technology, and so I'm just having a look at. Oh my God! It's almost lunchtime. How are you coping?
I'm drunk. That's how I'm coping.
I was
feel
about
like
to say,
I have to go do stuff, but I can't.
It's 5 minutes to lunch. Oh my God! Get the margaritas ready. Anyway, sorry, I was just joking.
I've had an entire bottle of wine before noon. Okay,
All right.
That's what I'm feeling like, and we're going to talk about this now. Okay?
Now we need to get to what we really.
But I want to take a break.
All right, so we'll take a quick break because all of this has been the lead up to what we really actually.
Me bitching. That's really.
No, it's not you bitching. I've heard some people in Australia actually saying, "Can we mark the day democracy died?" Which is interesting. I would have actually have said women's rights rather than democracy, but I get where they're going with that.
Democracy's dying as well, but let's talk about that. But before that, let's take a break.
All right, let's do that, and we will be right back. And we are back. And oh my God, that only took an hour and a half. Anyway, we are back. As we've said before, we talk more off air than we ever do on air. But
I'm jealous.
I'm not. I'm talking to you, so I'm fine. Oh, there's a line there, but I'm not going.
You're my very good friend, Warren.
And you're mine, but there was a line there from a movie, but I'm not going to go down that. But it's just to give people the wrong. Anyway, I'm not going down that line.
What?
Anyway,
now I really want to know.
I'll tell you off air. Don't worry. Anyway, so there has been some big shit happen in America. All right, and we have kind of teased at it. We've nibbled at the edge, and we have, with some of the things we've talked about, but we haven't actually addressed the elephant, and literally it is an elephant, because it's a Republican elephant, that is in the room. And that is, as I saw a tweet the other day which said, in Australia, it's the 25th. In Canada, it's the 24th. In the United States, it's 1800. And I thought that kind of summed it up extraordinarily well. There's something I want to say about this, which is very personal and very. First of all, we should actually say what the fuck we're talking about.
Because when I start talking, it's gonna flood.
All right,
so
it's okay.
Please say things.
We're talking about Roe. Was it Roe versus Wade?
Roe versus Wade
right.
has been overturned in the U.S.
All right, which basically now, if you live in California, it doesn't affect you. If you live in a number of states, it doesn't affect you. But I believe it's in 30-odd states. It will affect you in the sense that women lose their right to choose. And what look, I know that you're going to say a lot about this, and I just want to say, if I can, my little piece before you can. Or
please do.
Not before you can, before you do.
No.
Right.
I know.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Okay, it is fucking 2:45 in the morning.
I was going to say, we
right,
reversed roles here,
yes.
so it's late for you and you're drunk, and I'm
Yes,
drunk in the morning.
But I just wanted to say this. This, and it will take a couple of minutes. Please bear with me, all right?
Yes.
After 9/11, everything changed in the world. The war on terror became a major thing. And it was decided by the United States, but the world would follow, that there needed to be regime change in this country called Afghanistan. One of the things that drew the entire world to support the United States and send hundreds of thousands of people, well, hundreds of thousands, but thousands of people to fight, and definitely thousands of people to give their lives, families, mothers, wives, husbands who lost their partners, their parents, and all the rest of it in Afghanistan, was to fight for the right of women to be able to fight for their own rights, their biological rights. 20 years later, after the world stood by the United States, sent thousands of people back in body bags and coffins to fight for that right of women's independence, the United States said, fuck that, we think the Taliban are right. We'll follow their logic, and women won't have the right to control their own biological bodies.
Right.
I will just say, why the fuck did we fight and die for 20 years to support a country that would then do shit like that? That's my statement. I now yield the floor to the Honourable... As they,
I definitely do not deserve that title. Yeah. I'm mad right now. I'm absolutely freaked out, and that's probably the reason why I wanted to day drink today. So
don't blame me.
I said yesterday, let's talk, and I knew that as soon as I woke up this morning that we were going to talk, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to drink because fuck this. I'm not okay with, and I'll be honest with you, we knew this was going to happen. Oh my God, I used that phrase again. Like, I feel like there has to be a bingo card.
Don't worry.
No, it's really obnoxious.
No,
I hate myself for it.
Don't worry. Just go for it.
Yeah. I feel like there has to.
And we just lost your mic. Oh my God, we just lost your mic. We might have to pause for a second, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, we're back. All right, sorry, we just had a bit of microphone issue there. So, yes, you were saying.
Yeah, technology has thwarted me and calmed me down. No, slightly. No. I'm just mad because I've been called an alarmist for years. And I've been saying this shit was going to happen, and people are like, no, it would never happen, because as soon as anything like this starts happening, people will come out of the woodwork and they'll start voting and they'll automatically, magically start caring. Guess what? They overturned Roe versus Wade here, which means that federally, there are no federal protections at this point for women to have their right to choose. And that's really goddamn stressful for me. And I will admit this. Hang on one second, though. I'm gonna put it on mute for a second because I have to cough, and I don't want.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. Well, just while that's going on, while I was just coughing. Yes. Oh, you're back.
No, I'm back. Sorry about that.
All right, that's all right.
I was just gonna say. Sorry, having a drink.
That's all right.
Not alcohol.
Doesn't matter. As I said before, I think every American woman and every American man that supports a woman basically has the right to get shit-faced. Well, I know it's not. No, it's not going to help. But it's like no. Well, there is a journalist in Australia, very old world, very respected journalist in Australia called Philip Adams, very very big time journalist, who has written an article over this weekend, which says the title of the article is "Why Did America Fail?"
Yeah. Oh.
This is a world issue. I think this world is stunned that America, I have to rephrase that, the United States of America would decide that a Taliban-style ideology was the best way to move forward.
Okay, well, yes, but I'm going to push back on that for a second, because I know we want to phrase this as some sort of weird foreign thing, Taliban.
Okay, I should do that. I maybe should say American.
Well, no, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
What's happening now is not Sharia law. It's not Islamophobe. It's not anything
it's Sharia.
from outside of the country.
It's American.
It's American. It's
Yeah.
literal Christian white supremacy. That's literally what's happening here. We have, and I'm going to blame Reagan for this because fuck him, okay? An actor, okay? He's the one that donned the term welfare queens and all that bullshit, but really, he's the one that brought the religious right into politics. He's the one that brought them in, that told them that they could have a voice and they should have a voice, okay? Fuck them. I don't care what your belief system is. It shouldn't affect anybody else. If you believe what you want, okay? And honestly, my belief system has changed over the years. I was raised one way. Well, I was raised two ways, to be honest. I was raised Episcopalian and also weirdly spiritualist. And I had an insight from both sides. But to be honest with you, over time, and again, there it is. I'm going to start marking this down. Over time, what I've realized is that, that there is nobody's personal beliefs that should ever, your religious beliefs should not affect anybody else, period. Because I had an argument yesterday with somebody in my house. They didn't seem to understand the difference between an opinion and a fact. Their opinion was such and such about religion. And I pushed back and they immediately said, no, this is based on a lot of things that I've seen and I've read. Okay. I don't care what you've seen or you've read. You're literally stating an opinion. There is nobody's religious beliefs ever. Okay, let's be honest. If you have religious beliefs, if you have a spiritual side, it is all speculation. It is all opinion. It's all your thing. It's all, and I use air quotes, faith. I was raised with faith, okay, on both sides. My grandfather was an Episcopal priest. My mother's side of the family were spiritualist reincarnationists. I have read the Bible more times than most Christians have. Okay, I have a depth of understanding about.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. I just wanted to say half the people I've heard on Twitter who claim they're Christian have never read the Bible. But anyway, I know.
No, it's true, and that's what's gross to me, and that's probably part of what really pushed me away from the church. Okay, there was nothing in my overt upbringing for me that was something that would make me feel bad about myself or others. But when I realized that it was kind of changeable, it was kind of dependent upon who you were. And also I realized that when I moved in with somebody, in my 20s, and I was not married to them, and my grandfather, who was the Episcopal priest, wouldn't speak to me when he came to my home, regardless of whether or not he came. And I was sharing a place with my father, but I came to visit where he was and visiting, and he wouldn't speak to me because I was living with someone out of wedlock. I realized that the majority of it was just bullshit. And I actually wanted, because my grandfather came from a line of priests, Episcopal priests, and other types of Protestant priests in Wales before they came over. I often wondered, and I meant to ask him before he passed away, and I'm kind of sad I didn't, whether or not he had become a priest because it was the family business, he was the eldest, or whether or not it was because he really had had the calling in his mind. Now, I never consciously met my great-grandfather, which was his father, but he came from Wales, and he was a priest when he came here. He was also a bigamist, or not totally a bigamist. He was an attempted bigamist. He attempted to marry two different people at the same time. Just because you're a person of the cloth, or just because you are representing yourself as a person of faith, it doesn't mean you're a good person in regards to what goes on in the church.
Well, I think the Catholic Church would...
It wasn't it's Anglican Catholic?
No. But in regards to good Christians,
the Catholics are, yeah.
I think pedophilia has infiltrated the Catholic Church so greatly that it's a little bit like, it's an organization. You know, there are good and there are bad.
I'm going to say why I think pedophilia has infiltrated the Roman Catholic Church. I think it has happened in that church because the men cannot get married, and they deny themselves basic functions in humanity. Okay, I think that causes. Yeah,
I still don't know if that's an excuse for raping children. I really am not
I don't
too
think
sure.
It's an excuse. I don't think it's an excuse. I think that people are not able to deal with some of their shit. I'm not saying it's an excuse. Please don't think. No. Yeah. Okay, so what I do know is that, and I'm not defending them. Please don't think I'm defending any kind of Christian churches. I'm not. I do know that there's a lot of other types of sexual predatory shit going on in other churches.
There was through the 80s, stouting was rife with pedophiles. The Protestant church, which you call, it had a lot of problems with pedophilia. The Catholic Church is not the only organization which has had these problems.
Okay, I'm going to say this. It's not the churches, guys. It's the power. And who is in power? Usually white men in churches that have these issues.
My problem with the churches is not necessarily individuals that do the horrific criminal acts, because those people should be thrown into jail. My problem with the churches is that they cover it up.
Oh,
that's my problem.
Not necessarily different than anything we have going on here in the U.S. in regards to politics. Let's look at our Republicans, or to be honest, some of our Democrats. We actually, people in power, people that we see in positions that we respect them in, okay? Those are positions that are supposed to deserve respect. We respect them because society told us we're supposed to. We're trying to do that. They keep fucking us over, or literally fucking us or our children, okay? And I don't mean to say, that's literally something that keeps happening, and people keep fixing it. They keep covering it up. They keep denying it. They keep excusing it. And it's not always just the men, because there are women that are involved in this shit. And
unfortunately, women do cover up, support. Yeah, I know.
They do.
It happens. Yeah, I know.
And we have women in our own country that I am disgusted to share a gender with at this point. I am disgusted that I should share a gender with anybody that thinks it's acceptable for a man and his family to abuse others because they are the head of the family. There are a lot of women in our country that allow that excuse it repeatedly. I have a problem with a man who's watching his own children while his wife goes out for the evening and calls it babysitting. Okay, so yes, while my parameters are more narrow than some, I also have a serious problem with what's going on here. And now I'm going to segue because the shit that you know that I'm pissed about, okay, we've talked about it. We brought it up here. They have overturned Roe versus Wade. I can only see this as the beginning of the immediate downfall of the U.S. And we have been in a slow trickle down for a while. And while I have reminded people that we are a teenager nation, okay, we're not infants, but we're not any older than a teenager. And we don't have any goddamn sense other than a fucking teenager who thinks they know everything, who thinks that they can tell their parents who have had life experience how the world works. And you know why I know that? Because not only have other people told me that, I have a nearly 23-year-old kid who barely goes out of the house who wanted to tell me the other day how the world works, which I thought was really fucking funny. I have done my best with him. And women, we do our best. Men do their best, I hope. We are at a place now where, as a teenage country, we should be really realizing we've been shoved out on our own now. We are making our own decisions, and we're fucking it up. We're fucking it up bad. And guess what? We don't have parents that are behind us to cover for us or to pay our bills or to help us fix the shit we fucked up. What's going to happen is, if we don't fix this now, it is the beginning of the downfall of this country in a way that I cannot even begin to describe without bursting into tears. I cried yesterday morning. I cried because while I am a person of older age, and it's going to take me a lot to admit this publicly. I might have done it before. I can't remember. I might have been too drunk. But I am going to turn 52 years old in November.
No.
Okay?
No,
Don't me. I just fucking said, why would you say
because I was trying to be fucking polite. That was all. Sorry.
So you're being polite and telling me I shouldn't tell people how old I'm going to be. Okay, but I disagree with you. It took a lot for me to say that.
No. Sorry.
No.
Okay. No. That was actually good. That was actually amazing. I was just doing it.
I felt my own uncomfortableness from that. I'm going to excuse you like women do when men do things.
I was actually sort of saying, no, you're not. No, you're 30.
No, I'm
sure
literally
you're 30.
going to.
Look, that was just me being silly.
I am emotionally, emotionally 25 years old.
No, yeah. and it was honestly just me just being who I am as of my age. Sorry, just excuse me if that's all right.
I know. You're older than me, huh? So.
I am. Yes, I am.
Just barely.
I know.
Okay, but still.
Still.
I'm saying it's hard to say that, but as a woman of my age at this point, okay, and believe me, I know I look good. I live in
no.
Can like dim sum all year long.
No, can I just
when I was 36, I went to LA and we went to a property that was like a historical property just to look at it and tour it. They thought I was a 19-year-old girl there to look for my wedding. Yeah. I was 36. Y'all dry up there.
Irish has turned 50 and people are sort of saying, when was your 40th birthday?
It's because I act like a child.
No.
No, it's literally true. I'm going to turn 52 in November.
You look so good.
Thank you. You can say that because I just said it and I appreciate it.
Anyway, I know.
My mother also still looks great. She just her mind isn't there. That's the problem.
Okay, well that is something, but I have to admit, humid air does help. I must admit,
it does. I do.
South
California
Asian
dry out.
South Asian women always look so much younger than Northern Asian women. I don't know why it is, but they do.
I will also say, and I hope nobody takes this as racist. It's literally a thing they say. Black don't crack. It's not. It's true. I don't know if it's
that. I don't know. I don't know.
Ever look their age. They look amazing. I wish I had that. Okay, so.
I saw an interview with the woman who was in Live and Let Die. The black actor who was, I've forgotten her name. I cannot remember her name, but she was with the very first Roger Moore Bond film. And so that was in 1972 or something like that, when she was 25 or something. And this interview was done 2 years ago in the Bond book club. Why the fuck she was even invited? But she'd never read the book. I have no idea. But anyway, it was a little bit like, you're not going to.
That was 73. Live and Let Die. I just looked
73. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Right. I saw her in the four-way chat, right, that they were doing on. Oh, I should actually give a shout out on the Bond Experience. Great YouTube channel if you love James Bond.
Okay.
David Zaritsky is the guy who runs it. I know that we shouldn't be giving plugs. It's not what we do, but he. If you want to know,
we do sometimes, though. Unintentionally. I think we do.
Yeah, I know. But if you want to know what underwear James Bond wears, go to his channel. He'll tell you, right? Not only will he tell you, he'll buy it. He'll do a fucking, on-screen try-on haul. He's all about Bond lifestyle. He's not about the Bond film so much. He's about Bond lifestyle, which is clothes, watches, cars, shoes, all that sort of stuff.
Right.
Fantastic channel if you're into that sort of thing. If you think that, anyway. And anyway, so she was on this, thing they were talking about. They were comparing. It was the James Bond book club, and they were talking about Live and Let Die, which I remember talking to you about this about a year ago. I don't know if you remember when I was in lockdown, I reread all of the James Bond novels, and some of them
I remember. Yeah.
And Live and Let Die, I still remember reading it. It's much better than the film, but oh my god, it's
always better than the films.
But it's hard in the sense that everything. The Negro approached me and said, and the Negro, why do we have to always say that word when a person speaks? Do you know what I mean? It's just like, you get where I'm going? Why do we always have to identify? It was very, very weird. Very, very weird.
Well, that was very early. So I would hope.
Yeah, it was 1950s. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Early. Okay, because I'm going to tell you, even in the 70s and the 80s, we were not the best society. Okay, I'm thinking started to hopefully get slightly better in the 90s. The early 2000s, we're moving forward. We're now at a point though where it scared people that we were moving forward so much that the other side is trying to take us back. And we have never, ever in this country had any rights that we had fought for and won taken from us. But here we are right now. Yes. We have just had, and it's literally, and I'm going to be partisan as fuck here. It's literally because of the people who got Trump into office, who voted for him, who put them in there. And I don't give a goddamn about any of those people who are now coming out afterwards and said, oh, I was sorry I voted for him, or blah, 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 or he broke the law very clearly, and I would vote for him again. Thank you for doing what you did to keep him from trying to usurp the government, but also You just said, knowing what you know, knowing that you are in Congress, saying that this man broke the law, that you would vote for him again. And I want people to understand that that's what we're up against in this country. You know full well that he broke the law. Full well. You came out here and you didn't allow him to go along with it, which was great. But also, you would also vote for him again. I don't know what to say about that. But you know who it keeps being? You know who it is? Mm-hmm. And I say this as a melanin-challenged individual. It's the fucking white people. White people are the problem. I am a white as hell person. There is literally zero melanin in my skin. I had all my DNA done. We thought we had something. No, literally not. We are Anglo as fuck, okay? And I am embarrassed. I am embarrassed because it seems to me that in our country, especially, and this has been going on since we were formed, that white people seem to think that they have the right to take rights away from other people. And white men especially feel like, and the white women, as we said, who prop them up to do these things, are the reason why our country cannot fucking move forward. We had a good idea. Our good idea was built by men who were also slave owners and white landowners. And while they initially thought they thought they were thinking broadly, they weren't. They were limiting shit. They limited it, and we are limited now. And even though for a long time we have pretended we weren't, the powers that be, which are the people who want to limit us, have, and they're the minority here, have limited us. And we've allowed it to happen. Because that minority has also told us that it's not okay for us to stand in the street and say anything otherwise. It's not okay for us to fight back. If we do that, we're the problem. Fuck that. I personally would call for a general strike. I don't know how people can do it because you know that in our country, everything that we do is dependent upon whether or not we can afford it. Okay? Everybody makes decisions based on the economy. That's why we're going to lose the Senate in this next election. It's going to happen. The economy sucks. Therefore, the Democrats will lose. And because the Democrats are going to lose, it's going to go even further off to the right. I hate to say this, but I really foresee a time when America is gone. When America is no longer the America that they've wanted to pretend that they were. And I say they because right now I don't really feel a part of this country. I don't feel like I belong here. Even though the ones that are choosing all this are the minority here. But the rest of us tend to be so weak now that we literally won't stand up to them. Some of us will get in the street and most won't.
There is an argument, and which I've heard of, but I don't know how true any of this is. And that is that the thing is that there are a huge amount of Republicans that don't believe this is right. Right? In other words, they're Republican, they're conservative, but this they don't support. The problem is they have to vote Democrat to make a difference. And will they do that? That's what it all comes down to. Yeah. And I don't think they will. I think when it comes down they will still vote Republican, and they will vote
in. Of course they will.
Pro-Trumpian ideology, right? Now, I just wanted to bring one thing up, if it was all right with you, which is the way the world is seeing America right now.
Oh, please.
I thought this is an interesting concept. Now, I can't speak exactly for how people in Spain view this or the Czech Republic, but I got a pretty good idea, okay?
Yep.
Because it's the same way that's been viewed in Australia. And that is our far-right media. In Australia, that's Sky News, Rupert Murdoch organisation, okay?
Yep. Fox News, I say with air quotes.
Yes, well, pretty much. It's Fox News Light, okay? And
they've argued in court here that they're not actually news; they're entertainment. I don't know why they have a press pass.
I know, which is pretty amazing. It's like a conservative saying that they demand free speech while trying to cancel free speech at the same time.
Well, that's
but
what
anyway,
that means
that's
to
another,
free speech for me, but not for thee.
I know. Yes, I know. And it's anyway. So, how do you know that America is on the outside of the world? In other words, the people who support all of this, the Republicans, the Trumpists, who think that this is great, how do you know that you are on the outside of the rest of the Western world?
They don't
not
care.
The fucking, not Afghanistan,
They don't
not
care.
Yemen, not Saudi Arabia. We're talking about the Western world, all right?
They believe they're in the right.
So if Republicans want to say, hey, we're going to be friends with Yemen, that's great. I'll be friends with fucking France, all right? Because they've got cooler lifestyle. Anyway, so that's it. Sorry, that was actually, that's racist.
You know how I feel about Paris.
No, sorry, that's racist. I shouldn't say that. Actually, that's terrible. I shouldn't say that. But anyway,
I don't know if that was racist.
but anyway,
you know.
But anyway, so if the Republican Party wants to side with Saudi Arabia and Yemen and Kuwait, you know what? The rest of the world is going to side with France and Germany and Sweden and Britain, you know, and Canada and Australia and New Zealand and
Yeah.
like do you know what I mean? So
I do
anyway,
know what you mean, Warren. The problem is our people here, our Democrats, don't know how to message anything. We
Right.
use the worst phrases and terms to message, and the Republicans know how to message.
But I think this is the thing. I think something needs to be said from the Democratic Party about where America is no longer part of the world. Do you know what I mean? It's a little bit like so. In other words, you're a Republican, so your friends are Saudi Arabian. I'm a Democrat. My friends are Frenchmen. I know
They've turned the French here into some problem too. So
I know that's sounding racist and all this, but I just think that what I meant.
no, that's ideological. That's not race.
Right. What I mean by this, it's a little bit like, why is the Republicans siding with the hardcore Islamic nations on this shit and not with the Western democracies? This is the thing that blows my mind. Right? Okay. And this is what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't understand why Republicans believe that Saudi Arabia is the political model you want to follow. Do you know what I mean? I don't get, like...
They will never look at it that way. And there is never anybody in the United States in media that would frame it that way, because all of our media is owned by right-wing corporations, regardless of whether or not they put themselves out there as left or not. They never tell the actual stories.
But
they tell the stories they want you to know.
But here's the thing. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, we don't actually have a free press here. We have the illusion of one now. It used to be a free press, and there are small bastions here and there. But for the most part, our press has become the both sides thing instead of the truth. And I know that there's an old meme or something where somebody said, if somebody claims it's raining, it's not your job to report on both sides of that. And say, some people say it's raining and others it's your job to look out the window and report the fucking truth. Is it raining or not? One side says it's raining, the other side says it's not. What do you report on? Don't just report on what both sides say. Look out the fucking window and see what the truth is and report that. That's what we don't have here now.
But see, here's the thing. A woman's right to choose in a country like Canada or Australia or Britain or France or Germany, it's not a political... yeah, let's not bring them into it.
No, anyway, even in Israel, but
even in Israel, yeah. But yes, you're right. It's not a political issue. It's a social issue. So, people on the left and the right will disagree on this thing. And it comes down to the personal thing. The vast majority agree that a woman has a right to choose. So, right. and this is the thing. If you go to Australian Sky News right now, you can turn it on, and they will be telling you Donald Trump was the greatest president that's ever lived. He was magnificent. He was brilliant. He was fit. He was super sexy. He should have been a porn star. He was an amazing man. He was so brilliant. Everyone wants to be Donald Trump. That's how psycho they are. However, right. The same news network will not mention this subject at all. It just refuses. It just ignores it. And the reason why it ignores it is because it knows all too well that most conservative women, even most conservative men in Australia, support a woman's right to choose. We're a modern, free democracy, right?
Yeah.
So
we're fucking human beings.
Yeah, right. And even though there are obviously a lot of people in Australia who believe that abortion should be made illegal. Of course, there are people like that, but they're the minority. Then, right? And the thing is, this idea that this should, and this is why America's on the outside, because if a far right news organisation in Australia refuses to talk about a topic, the people won't support it, which means it's wrong.
Yeah, well, I wish it was that way here.
No. But what I mean is by this is that, of course, what happens in Australia, what happens in Britain, or what happens in Canada, that's different. Mm-hmm. But what I mean is that the world, the Western world, is looking at America going, what the fuck?
Oh. We're teenagers who think we know everything, and we're fucking ourselves up. Our parents went, you know what? Okay, be on your own. You want to be emancipated? Fucking be emancipated. And you know what happened? Is that we realize now, while we had some good ideas, we are not doing the work. And that is fucking terrifying to me. I literally have never known an existence where this was something that mattered to me, okay? I have lived in this country long enough for the majority of my life for that to be a right for me. It's just a given right. And to take that away because some ideologues that Trump put on our fucking Supreme Court is something that the other side has been working for a really long time. Mm. And most of the people in this country realize, I think we all realize, that we don't have a whole lot of say in what happens. We vote. They tell us how important that is. It is important. But they're also looking at ways to try to keep people from voting and overturn real votes and do things because the Republicans now, if they don't cheat, they don't win. That's literally what we've gotten. When they called it, they said everything was going on in the last election with voter fraud and all this shit. You know what? They found a couple of incidents of voter fraud. Guess who it was? Republicans voting for their dead parent, or literally they're the ones committing the voter fraud that they're screaming about. So I also know that in this country that wealthy white people and women who are related to politicians and things like that will continue to be able to get abortion care. They're going to keep brown people from getting abortion care. And they're going to use that as a way to try to further limit the rights for others in this country. And this affects all of us in ways I can't even begin to tell you, but it affects poor and people of color more than anybody else. And I don't like the fact that I sat on my bed yesterday morning when this came out and cried. I don't understand.
Can I ask a question? Because this was raised in an Australian news service. Yeah. And that is that, does the President of the United States have the ability to issue a presidential order?
No.
Or is that not the case?
No, can't.
He can't.
Congress could ratify women's rights into law by passing something, but we can't get the most basic things passed in this country right now.
No.
We have too many Democrats that are too afraid of actually taking a stand on anything that might be considered controversial with the minority of the people in this country, that they will not vote for ratification probably of women's rights. We probably can't get there. We probably don't have the votes. That's literally the only thing we could do. If Congress ratifies women's rights into law and the right to choose into law, then we might be able to get somewhere. Right now, literally what Roe being overturned in the SCOTUS has automatically triggered laws that were already on the books in a lot of our states that will immediately outlaw abortion completely. The only thing that was keeping them back was the federal precedent on Roe versus Wade.
Okay, can I just ask now, please tell me if I have no understanding to shut up. But do you think that maybe if a state goes down that path, in other words, because from what I understand, it doesn't affect every state. It's like about half of the states. Now, for those states which are affected, and I don't understand why some are and some aren't.
There's reasons for that.
Okay, right. Well, I don't understand why this does not affect California, but it does affect Louisiana. Like, I don't understand that. But if, let's say, you have an election, you vote for the governor, because you don't vote for a government, you vote for a person. So if you vote for the governor, if that governor supports this, is it conceivable they won't win, is what I'm trying to say. Oh,
well, it's possible.
So in other words,
for people,
do you know what I mean?
We vote for people, supposedly, but mostly we vote for party.
No. I get that, and I get that there'll be individual members in the House and the Senates of those states, and I get that. But the actual governor, if the governor says, I support this Trumpist ideology that we're going to live in the 1950s, will they be re-elected based on that? Or will people actually say... Oh,
easily.
You really think they will? They really will?
They're elected now based on that.
Right,
so
okay.
Our problem is with the thing that they're allowed to do called gerrymandering, which is where the party in power in a state gets to set the districts for voting. Okay? If you are in power and you set and this is what's been happening, the Republicans get into power and they gerrymander the districts and they remove, because they start to draw them, okay? It's not based on like a square footage or mileage or kilometers or anything, okay? It's literally based on how they feel like drawing it. We have some of the most messed up congressional districts in our states because the parties in power draw them in these weird shapes to make sure that their people get elected. If there is a prison or an area that's black in Florida, they will gerrymander the district to make sure that those black people in that town, in that area, have like literally zero voice. They will split it up. They will do whatever they can to try to make sure that people of color or people who don't vote like them will not have any say or power in the districts that they are in. That's why they keep doing it. We have created a system in our country that continuously rewards the liars and the fakers. That's what we've done. And it's rare that people outside of that ideology at this point get elected in many states. Now, the reason why some states are affected by the Roe versus Wade overturn and others aren't is because the legislatures and the governors in those states are Republicans or they are Democrats. Now, here in Florida, we have a Republican, like a gross Republican.
Yeah, but he's kind of like this really sick prick, isn't he? I mean, I'll be honest when I say he's a sick prick. He's just
disgusting.
He's a piece of shit, isn't he? I mean, really.
He is Trump light. That's what I'll say about him. Okay? Yeah. But Trump hates him. You know why? Because he's been getting attention. Trump hates that. So
because he's a threat, isn't he?
Because he's a fucking Trump wannabe. That's basically it. And he's younger and he doesn't have all the other baggage. Okay. Yeah. So he's come here and he has come in after Rick Scott, who came from another state, who came from Texas, who was the CEO of the company, the healthcare company that had the biggest Medicare and Medicaid scandal in history in our country. He pled the fifth every time they asked him a question, which meant I reserve the right not to incriminate myself. Okay. They elected him to Senate. And it's because of the gerrymandering he was elected. Now DeSantis is in. And now we have Marco Rubio and Rick Scott and Rick DeSantis in Florida. We are not America's flaccid wang for nothing. Okay? These men are disgusting. And there is nothing good that's going to come out of having any of them here. Now, there is not another single person that is running for anything in our state that is worth a shit. Now, Val Demings is running for Senate in my county, and or my state, because we get 2 senators per state. We get congressmen per county, but she's running for Senate. Of course I want her over Marco Rubio, okay? But and to be honest, I've known her family in the past. She and her husband both, when they were police officers, moonlit at places where we've known them. She became police chief. She did a really good job here. I'm not going to say that it was everything I would have preferred, but compared to what we have out there, absolutely I'm going to vote for Val Demings, okay, over Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio asked for a pardon from Trump. Why would he do that? Because he knew he committed crimes.
Yeah.
Okay, he knew he committed crimes. He wanted a blanket pardon. He wanted a blanket pardon for anything he had done, including him paying teenagers for sex, which we know he's done, and other things. Pardon.
Sorry, this man's a pedophile. Wow.
Well, he adopted a young son, and I don't know why. He's not married to anybody. He just has a young son he adopted. I'm not saying people who adopt kids who are single are pedophiles. I just know that he is a terrible person in general.
Yeah, I know in Australia there are a lot of single people who adopt children, so I don't want to...
I think that's great. No, please. I think children need to be adopted.
Yeah.
But also, he wasn't a child in foster care or up for adoption. He was the child of an ex-girlfriend, apparently, who lived in Cuba.
The
and
child of an ex-girlfriend who lived in Cuba, and he adopted that child.
In America, who was already basically an adult. So we don't really, I don't know.
Yeah, there's something weird about that.
It's creepy.
Anyway.
There's something not right. He also is somebody that has been known, that they have found proof of, has paid teenagers for sex.
Okay. Well,
yes.
He's gross. They say there's no smoke without fire, and I think there's an awful lot of smoke.
And I'm no angel, but that dude's gross.
No. There's a fucking big difference. Oh, my God. No,
seriously, this is what we have here. So I want the world to know that America has always had this beautiful ideology about what we are and who we are. And the potential for it has always been there. And I think there are a lot of people in this country that really want that. They want to strive for it. Unfortunately, there is a growing, it's a big group, and it's a growing group, unfortunately, of ignorant bigots and people who are literally out for their own personal gain, who are trying desperately to destroy what we have here, to turn it into their own personal bastion of, I don't even know what word to use to describe it. It's,
do you know what somebody, I don't know, be very careful how I say this, but somebody said to me a couple of years ago, it was when Trump was in office, and they actually said to me, do you think, Warren, that America is, like, what is the real America is moving north? In other words, like, the concept of corruption and like, because, like, and as I said, I'll be really careful about this, because I know Mexicans are wonderful people, Venezuelans are wonderful, but there is a lot of corruption in Central and South America, is what I'm trying to say.
You're talking about banana republics.
Yeah, and the idea is this, Trump in the 60s, there was this idea of the domino theory, that communism, one domino knocked over the other. And is there this, almost like this domino theory of corruption, of corruption moving north through America, and the United States is the next to fall?
Well, I promise you that we here are not affected by corruption in South America, because
no, I don't mean
because of the egos of the people in power here.
No. I didn't mean South America. What I mean is that idea of the domino theory, the idea that once an area becomes something, the next area follows, and the next area follows. And
they've learned that from little tests that they've done over time. I mean, the thing is that the Republicans are really good. They're really good at paying attention to the noisy minority. What is it that we can do to rile them up? Because the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? It's the ones out in the street screaming.
Doesn't always work.
No, it works here.
Okay, in Australia...
Now, it might not be one person, but here, it does.
Well, in Australia, as we've talked about in the last podcast we did, the Conservatives in Australia tried. In other words, they thought, oh my God, we need to link ourselves more with these far-right conspiracy nutjobs. And guess what? The general public said, you're meant to be the government. Why are you selling yourself out to a 3% party? Exactly. Which I still to this day do not understand why the then government did. Like, it made no sense whatsoever. No sense. Yep. Right. Because I think they had this idea that, it's a growing movement. It's growing bigger and bigger and bigger. But the simple fact is, no, this is Australia. It's never going to get bigger than 3%. Pardon me, I just coughed. The nut jobs are never going to be more than 3%. So don't sell out to them. Just don't.
We have 30% nut jobs here because they glump them into a group. Because they get them all to believe the same bullshit. It's all connected.
Yeah. And the thing is that, when we saw a government, as our last Australian government, try desperately to link itself with Murdoch and Sky into this American Republican type thing. I remember saying to you that when the Australian public were talking about global warming, they were talking about the cost of living, inflation, unemployment. These were the things they were talking about. And the Conservatives in Australia, they were talking about transgenderism. It's like...
Well, that's what they've started talking about now.
Yeah,
it's like, give it a break.
It's like, look, that's a... Look, I support transgenderism, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is, as there was a call, I still remember on election night, on Saturday night, a month ago, there was a Liberal person. Liberal, that means Conservative, right? I have to keep saying this all the time. And they actually said on air, and they said, my party has got to learn. Get out of the bedrooms and get into the boardrooms if you want to stay in power. And
well, that's true, but
it's a bit ridiculous. But what I mean is,
we actually need to get out of both.
Yeah, yes, no, you're right. But it was meant to be a concept that stopped talking about transgenderism, stop talking about homosexuality, stop talking about bisexuality, LGBT. Oh, I can't even do the whole thing because I forget what it all is. But I support it. I support it.
You
right?
Yes.
Yeah, I support it. All right.
Yes, I do.
So yeah. It's like my attitude is very, very simple. For a lot of Conservatives, now I know it's different in America, as this week has proved, but in the rest of the world, it's a little bit like with a lot of this conservatism. It's like it's 1 week before Hitler blows his brains out, and you as a nation are going to say, you know what? I'm going to side with Nazi Germany. I reckon that's a winning formula.
Well, we have a lot of those people here that would do that.
Right, so. And then a week later, the man is being burnt by the SS outside the bunker. There is so much of this. I swear, these people just do not see. They seriously believe this is where people are at. And they are so out of touch.
Oh, I think a lot of them don't care whether if it's where other people are at. They really believe that they know something better than the rest of us, that they are better than the rest of us, that their mindset is the way the world should be, but it's not. And the rest of us who don't buy into that stuff understand that. I think part of the problem is that we tend to be passive, and we tend to be people who have never had to live through a fight. Here in the U.S., especially, it's been a long time since we've actually had fights in the streets. And I think that we have grown complacent. I feel like a lot of people don't know. Either they don't remember or don't think it could happen again, or they've never had anything like that. They've learned about it in their history book, which doesn't tell them shit. I really do think that we are at a crossroads here, and knowing what I know about the way teenagers think, and reminding you again that we are nothing but a teenage nation here.
Well,
we had some ideas. We have fucked some of our shit up, and we continue to do it. And I only hope that we are able to right ourselves in the way that I hope all teenagers are able to eventually right themselves. I'm not going to say I ever righted myself, because I'm not sure that I did, but I do still try. And
I just need to
I don't
interrupt you.
try to put my opinions. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I need to interrupt you for a second. We just need to very quickly pause, if that's okay.
Well, we have to end this anyway.
No, I know we do, but we have to pause either way. So if that's all right, can we just pause for a quick second? No worries. Yes. We'll be right back. And we're back simply so we can say goodbye. Why? Because Warren needed a slash. It's that simple. All right. So, and if you don't know what I'm talking about,
it's
just
opposite late for you and early for me.
I was about to say, if you didn't know what that meant, Google Australian. I don't even know. I'm pissed. It doesn't matter. All right.
You are pissed. I love that it's you and not me this time.
All right. So, look, we'll probably wrap it up because we're way over time, about an hour over time, actually.
Yeah.
But I think everyone has got an idea of what we think and what we believe in, and all the rest of it. And if you don't, just come back and listen to us. We'll do it all again next week. Well,
Yeah, and if you don't know and you want to know what we think, send us something on Twitter. I don't care.
Yeah,
I might not reply, but maybe I will.
That's exactly right.
We've been in those moods.
No, anyway, I was going to talk about it. No, over the last week, I had about 20 odd followers suddenly just, it's like, wow, who are these? And I looked at every account and every one of them was a bot. Like it was.
Yeah, well,
it was like,
I got a lot too. I said something that got picked up and I got a lot of bots and you just don't follow them back. It's
God, no. Oh, God, no.
Let him follow you. It's fine.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, if Trump's friends want to follow me, fine. I'm just not going to follow them back. That's all. All right. Yeah. So, what did you? I think it was the estimate that something like 50% of Trump's followers were actually bots.
It wouldn't surprise me.
And one of his huge problems with Twitter before he was cancelled was the fact that his numbers kept going down, but his Twitter kept removing the bot accounts.
Bots, yeah. And you know what? I've had that same problem in the past, so I'm trying to do better. Okay, let's end this because it's very late for you.
All right, so thank you for listening. We'll be back in, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whenever.
Maybe.
We're back.
Whatever.
And we're back just when we're free. And thank you for listening. And so it's, what did the two Ronnies say? It's goodbye from me and it's goodbye from him.
Or her.
Sorry, no,
or them, depending.
I know anyone who's ever watched the two Ronnies will know what I'm talking about. Anyway,
I have no idea what that is, but we'll talk about that later.
The two Ronnies. But anyway, thanks for listening. Cheers, guys, and we will be back soon.
Bye.